I'm Joe from Rise Against, and we are in Düsseldorf. And this record, Bad Brains' self-titled record, it's their first record, and this is my favorite record. And this record basically changed my life. I bought this record and a Minor Threat record the same day, and the intensity of this record has, like, no one comes close to the sheer, like, raw aggression that's on it. And oddly enough, they were my first punk rock show that I saw in 1989, and it floored me, and it's what made me want to pick up an instrument and play. You know, I chose the bass, just the intensity they put forth and the emotion is what's, you know, really stuck with me. And I like to think that I carried that over to Rise Against, and we all did as a band. We put that energy into our songs, and it all comes from this. Well, you know, it came out, I think this record came out in 80 or 81, so I was quite young then, and I didn't know about them back then, but I read about them in Thrasher Skate magazine in 1989, and they had a record come out called Quickness. So when I went to the store, I was looking for that record because I just thought they sounded cool, and I only was able to find this record, not realizing it was their first record. And so I found out about most things I listened to growing up. I found out about through skateboarding videos, skate magazines. You know, I owe a lot to skateboarding, and so that's where I found out about bands like Bad Brains and Minor Threat, and West Coast bands like Bad Religion, Adolescence. So yeah, they still have that intensity musically. You know, I think HR at this point has a lot of issues, and they probably got the best they could from him. You know, I had the opportunity to meet him a few years ago, and yeah, just unfortunately he has a lot of issues, you know, mentally that are probably beyond his control. So it's a little bit strange for me to hear those last two records, because you know, you don't want anything ruining the legacy a band has, you know. So it's a bit strange. It was, because when I saw them, it was at the tail end of the height of their career, and he was still so good. He was still doing backflips because he grew up as a gymnast, you know, in school, so he could do backflips and stuff, and he was by far the best frontman, and that's all I remember. I was 13 years old, and I remember thinking, like, oh my God, this guy is crazy. He was all over the place, jumping off the PA, you know, and they just didn't stop, you know. It's like they would do a hardcore song, go right into a reggae song, and you know, me as a bass player, I love reggae. So, but they would just switch, you know, on a dime, just back and forth, and it was so amazing. It's something I'll never forget, and no other band, you know, did that for me. Nobody was playing, you know, hardcore and then reggae and then switching, and you know, maybe Murphy's Law did that a little bit, but it's not quite the same, you know. So yeah, I'll never forget it, you know. I just hope, I have 3 kids, I hope there's something they can experience that would change their life like Bad Brains did for me, because it was pretty intense. You know, we're at a point where we're submerged in a mainstream rock world, and I think that's why our records differ from a lot of other bands' records, because our records are still, especially with the black market, I feel like there's a little bit more of the raw edge that we have as a punk rock band. It's more present on that record, and that comes from bands, the influences with, you know, Bad Brains and Minor Threat and Government Issue, these DC hardcore bands. And so we're always going to have that grit on the record, you know, not so overproduced. I know, especially on this record, Tim, he wanted to make sure there were more, his vocals were less edited on the record, you know, so there's a little bit more of the gruffness in his voice. That comes from bands like Bad Brains, you know, to have that. And it's the, you know, maybe we'll play a song 2 or 3 beats faster than they should be, you know, just to have that like aggression, you know. But it definitely comes from all